dawn.
He's got clout.
Yeah, we did it. With just seconds to spare. We are here. Yo, what a day. What an emotional roller coaster of a day this is and has been and will no doubt continue to be. as we get into it, baby. As we get into it, this legendary day. Legendary day. Yo, I got my cleaning implement. I don't know if you can see. Well, you can't see. If you're listening on the podcast, you can't see. If you're watching this live, you can see. We've added a record player to the DJing setup. Now, this is not any kind of a permanent solution. It's a bit precarious. It's a bit precarious. The DJ setup as it is not big enough. You know, I've got to build with my building prowess that I now have, being a guy who goes to Home Depot every day. I've got to build me a DJing setup. A DJing setup for this, you know, for this stream station, for the MAZ. For the MAZ. You know, the MAZ deserves a mighty DJ booth that also fits record players. You know, because I would like to have record players. It'd be nice to do some scratching and things like that, you know? It would be nice to get that in. And, hey, you know, we're in Dripping Springs. Size is no object. We in Texas, baby. You know? Build the biggest building in town. Build the biggest streaming setup in town. Build the biggest DJ booth in town. So we will. But for today, we've got a record player here. And the reason we've got a record player, brothers and sisters, is because the Wattswave vinyl test pressings have arrived. They have arrived. Well, they've arrived for the 7-inch, and they've arrived for Wattswave 6. Wattswave 5 is on its way. So we have test pressings. Test pressings. You know what that is? That's when they put the music onto some plastic, well, some vinyl, you know, using a strange mechanism of grooves, and then you scratch a needle over it and you hear beautiful music. It's mental. They've been doing this for like 100 years, you know. Now they've done it some MEANINGWAVE. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. You know, a test pressing is the test. They test it, you know, to see if it works, and they send it to you. And you listen to it, see if it's good. And if it's good, you say, hey, it's good. Hey, it's good. Speaking of good, we have some good news. We have some good news. Your homie Captain Jack is going to be helping us out with the beautification of the whole package. We might have him on to talk about it later this week, perhaps, you know. But anyway, it's very, very exciting times. Michael Tapia says, good! That is a good. Mike Better says, wow! It's a wow. It's definitely a wow. You know, Cindy Bailey says, build the biggest studio in town. I think so. You know? Milton Dan says, turn down for what? Milton Dan is funny. Shout out to Milton Dan in here with that comedy. Michael Tapia says, Akira makes all our lives better. I am doing my best. You know, shouts out to everyone who was here this morning for the morning stream. Who was here for the morning stream this morning? Who was here for that? It was quite legendary. It was pretty cool. I didn't say anything. And everyone was a bit like, didn't know what to make of it, you know? It was cool. It was like an experiment in like, what would happen if I just didn't talk and I just played epic records and kept smiling and doing mimes and stuff. I didn't even introduce the International High Five. I mimed us doing it. It was great. What up, Caroline H? What up, Mario Net? SpaceX just did a test hop of their Starship test vehicle. It worked. What? Wow, it's a day for epic tests, sir. We've got test pressings and test hops. Whoa! Oh my goodness, what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. Feels like it works. Feels like it works. Memories, YouTube Hero Alex says memories. Wait a minute. Akira the Don was hidden by YouTube Hero Alex. Oh, no, so the Don. Oh, my dear. Okay. It's the vinyl countdown. Says the Movement Down. Can't wait for my Wattswave. No, you're going to get it. YouTube Hero Alex says memories of the 17-hour stream to close out the campaign are strong tonight. Yeah. Miss Superconductor says, what? The 1210s, 1200s in the setup? What? We got the setup. What? Hey. Smash that like. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? I can see. I have scientific evidence that there's people in the MAZ tonight, people in the MAZ who have not smashed a like. How could you? Are you aware of how disappointed your ancestors are right now? Come now. Likes must be smashed. What is this? All right. So what we're going to do now, let's have our first little test. Let's test Can I talk and put a record on at the same time? It's very difficult. I need one of those Madonna things, you know? I need a Madonna thing. Let's get, have we got a better camera angle for this? Maybe if we get camera 1 on. That's the left camera. Hey, there you go. You got a closer view of the platter. The beautiful platter. They call it a platter. You know why they call it a platter? Because that's what it is. It's a beautiful platter. Get it down. Oh. Hang on, let's lift it up and place it so you can hear a little pop. Ooh. Ooh, God. Hey. 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 Can you hear it? It's a record. It's making record sounds.
We think of present events.
Oh, it works. Also, it's playing at the wrong RPM.
Bypass.
Oh, that's so nice. It's playing at 33
And therefore,
RPM.
we tend to regard ourselves
Shall we keep it at 33 RPM? That's actually quite nice.
puppets of the past.
Yeah.
As driven along.
All right, let's restart that. That was very nice. Oh, how exciting. How beautiful. So far, so good on this test pressing. So far, the test is a success.
We think of present events
Oh.
as being caused by past events. And therefore, we tend to regard ourselves as the puppets of the past.
Woo.
As driven along by something that is always behind us. Now, to overcome this impression, it's very simple. You begin again with an experiment. Approach the world through your ears. If you shut your eyes and make contact with reality purely with your ears, and you will realize that the sounds you are hearing are all coming out of silence. You hear, and it fades away. Fades, 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 and finally disappears. It's a curious world, this, isn't it? Because you hear all the realities in it. The sounds suddenly coming out of nothing. You don't see any reason for them to begin. They just appear, and then they echo away through the corridors of the mind, which we call memory. Now, if you open your eyes, it's a little harder to see this with your eyes because, unlike sounds, the eyes sound static. Or rather, they look static. Everything looks still to your eyes. But you must understand, the world you are looking at, say when you look at a light, that light is vibrating. All material things are vibrations, and they are vibrating at you now in the same way as the sound is vibrating on your ears. In other words, the present world that you see is a vibration coming just as the sound comes out of silence. The light is coming out of space. It's coming out of nothing straight at you now and echoing away into the past. So the course of time is really very much like the course of a ship in the ocean. Because here's the ship, you see, and it leaves behind it a wake. And the wake fades out, and that tells us where the ship has been. In just the same way as the past, and our memory of the past tells us what we have done. But as we go back into the past, and we go back and back to prehistory, and we use all kinds of instruments and scientific methods for detecting what happened, we eventually reach a point where all record of the past fades away in just the same way as the wake of the ship. Now, the important thing to remember in this illustration is that the wake doesn't drive the ship any more than the tail wags the dog.
Ooh, that's real lo-fi. Just like wiggling the vinyl with a brush. I'm gonna start doing that on records. That sounds great, right? Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, oh, make some noise. Yo, do you know what you just heard? That was MEANINGWAVE on vinyl for the first time. Ever. Yo, I just got a little chill. I just got a little chill. Hey! It worked! It worked! I can't believe it. It works! Feels like it works? Does work. Yo, oh, my tummy is all aflutter. You did that. You made that happen. Hey! How about that? You made that happen. Woo! It's got a B-side too. It's got a whole B-side, you know, specially recorded for this that doesn't exist anywhere else. You won't hear it anywhere else. Anywhere, actually. Oh, so I shouldn't play it. Oh, nearly got carried away there. Nearly got carried away there. The secret B-side that you haven't heard and you won't hear until you get your 7-inch delivered to you. And you open it up and you put it on your own player, you know? And you have your own holy experience listening to the beautiful song. And I got to say, it's probably the best Wattswave song ever, that B-side that I recorded especially for this thing. Oh my goodness. Oof. 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 Now, where's my little label? Let me go find my little label. Hang on a minute. You know, when it's a record, you got to put him back in his little house, you know, his little jacket. You got to keep him warm, you know, you got to keep him cozy and warm and safe. And put him back in his little cozy little jacket. You know? It's not like on Spotify where, you know, something comes up in a playlist and it's quite nice and then maybe you never hear it again. It just flows on by in the stream of sound. And there's definitely something to be said for that. There's a lot of wonderful, wonderful records that I will never hear again because they flowed past me on a stream of a playlist of some kind, you know? And I didn't stop to make a note of what they were. I was too busy being in the moment. Lost in the river of time, you know? But these guys in their little jackets, now these are precious things. This cannot be hurt by particularly violent sunspot activity. It cannot. You know, sunspots could get mad angry, you know what I mean, and like wipe out all the hard drives. They can't wipe out that 7-inch. That little 7-inch piece of vinyl plastic down there, that guy, he's immortal. He'll probably be here after me. You know what I mean? If people look after him, he could be here for a very, very long time. Yo. Dan Frank says, stares at all, mouth agape. Modern psychotechnology meets ancient soundwave device. Right, exactly. Like, yo, it was like, that's like in Prometheus, you know what I mean? Like when they go up and they find the alien temple. Like, what? What? Oh my goodness. Frank Pugley says Neighbor Wave shirt activated. Yeah, you can get one from MEANINGWAVE.com. Oh, I need to get one. Where's mine? Jose Talvera, I am still dancing outside the grocery store with my headphones on. That's a beautiful image. That's a beautiful image. Alec Moran says, I'm so damn hyped, baby. So blessed hyped, yes. YouTube Hero Alex says, we're checking out the test presses for the first time. That's right, baby. YouTube Hero Alex says, those first 4 beats of the B-side were amazing. Yes. D Humphrey 214 says, MEANINGWAVE is made for vinyl. Epic. Yo, and as this wave grows, baby, as this community grows, as this place grows, we can get more and more made, you know? Supply and demand, those are the rules, baby. If you don't make stuff, there is no stuff, and if you don't want stuff to be made, no stuff gets made. Well, the level you need is to be made. Maria Lizak says, congratulations, MAZ. That's right. That's right. Congratulations to you all. You made it happen. And, all right, you know, so we're test pressing. We're testing the test pressings. So we tested that 7-inch. I will test the B-side in private later. You know, no one's allowed to hear it. I'm not even going to let Charlotte and Hercules hear it. They have to wait until they get their own special copies and open them. Yeah. Yeah. Frank Pugliese says, I got the pink one. What's the pink one? Is that the Neighbor Wave shirt? WMIV says these records are going to be heirlooms. Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Looms of air. Hey, shall we test the pressing of the album? What did you reckon? How'd you feel? Jose Talvera says, did you finish the Avatar series? Yeah. Did you miss that stream where we talked about it? Because we had one. We're bereft. It's a bit bereft. I feel like a bit like when Red Dead Redemption 1, when I broke my disc and I couldn't play it anymore. I loved Red Dead Redemption. I loved being in that world. And I missed it. I missed it like it was a real place. Because it was a real place. It was in my heart. And I feel a bit that way about Avatar. What a wonderful thing that was, that Avatar, The Last Airbender. What a wonderful experience. What a wonderful story, adventure. It was just wonderful, and it was a beautiful, beautiful ending. So yeah, shouts out to that, baby. Come on. All right. All right, let's check out this album. All right, here we are. This is disc record 1. You know, it's 2 records for 1 record. Side A, side B, and side C. No, side A, side B, and side C, and side D. That's how it goes. A, B, C. Yeah, you know, sometimes it's difficult to remember, right? Sometimes it's hard to remember such things. And this is Wattswave VI, Wattswave 6, The Web of Life Part 2. I'm kind of doing this backwards, but the other one has not been sent to us yet. That's on its way. So ASMR time. I should have mic'd up this whole thing, right? We're going to put this down. Put it down. It was a white label. I wrote A on it, so I knew which side was which, because that would have not been good if I didn't know. But I haven't listened to this yet, you know? So bear in mind, it's a test pressing. And if it all goes dreadfully wrong, that is the point of a test pressing. And then we go, oh, hey, there was a mistake there. And we're not looking out for, we're not looking out for mistakes. But, I mean, I suppose we are. But it's not like a case of like, oh, you could have mixed that hi-hat better. You know, that ship has sailed. You know, I'm remixing no hi-hats. Like, that's what it is. But hopefully it's the right songs in the right order, you know. That's what we want. We want the right songs in the right order, and we want it to sound nice. Now, that last one sounded real nice, baby, so we want it to sound nice. What up, Jose Talvera? Is it Jose or Jose? Talvera says, to all the people on the chat, one love. And to you, Don. Bless your soul, brother. Stay dancing wherever it is you're dancing. Now, we want to set this to 33 RPM because it's a longer record, you know? 33 revolutions A minute. That's what that stands for. And we're gonna press play. Oof. My heart is going boom, boom, boom. Steve Gondish says Red Dead Redemption 2 was better than Red Dead. Imagine that. Imagine something so perfect as Red Dead, and then the sequel came along and was actually better. It could only be better if it contained Red Dead 1 as some kind of bonus content within that world. But I was literally thinking the other day about how perfect the John Marston bit is. I kind of feel like that down here in Texas, you know. That's the vibes. Anyway, stop getting distracted talking about Red Dead. Cassandra K, what's up? Thank you. Okay, let's press play.
Akira.
The dawn.
In exploring the theme of the web of life, I have thus far discussed two principal topics. First, the web considered as selectivity, experience considered as what we pay attention to on the one hand and what we ignore on the other. And I showed how the way in which we pay attention to the world creates, isolates, that we call particular things, events, and persons, and they seem to be disconnected and to be alone because we ignore the connection between them. And I used the analogy of weaving, where the threads go underneath and join on the back in a way that is not seen on the front. So you might say in the unconscious, although I don't particularly like that word because it makes it seem as if it was something rather dead. But on the unconscious side of life, as on the back of the weaving or the back of the embroidery, there are connections which are not published. 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 Now, in the second part of the theme was the web as mutuality. When I discussed the way the existence of a web, the existence of cloth, or anything like that, depends on a mutual support of the warp and the woof. And this miraculous thing occurs that when the things support each other, being comes into being, cloth comes into being. And so in exactly the same way, our world is a manifestation of relativity. And this requires a balance, combination, a relationship of opposites in every domain of life. And although these opposites are explicitly different and even antagonistic, they are implicitly one. Implicitly one. They are implicitly one. And that's the secret. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. They are implicitly one. And that's the secret. See, there are these two secrets that we went into. The connection between what are supposed to be separate things and events, and the mutual unity between what are manifestly, that is to say, openly, for purposes of publication, opposites. Now, I'm going to take two other aspects of the web. There are connections which are not published. A relationship of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. There are connections which are not published. The relationships of opposites in every domain of life. There are connections which are not published. They are implicitly one. And that's the secret.
Yo, that shit sounds really good. That sounds really good. Oh my goodness. I can't believe it worked. Well, all right. No, we're only one track in. Yeah, we're only one track in, but so far, I mean, what do you reckon? How's it sounding to you guys?
The web is a trap, like the spider's web is a trap for flies. Also, the lovely embroideries are worn by women as traps for men, from a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. And I want to consider the web as something playful. You see, there are so many ways of looking at it. And you will find that all these ways are right, but what we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. Of the view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. There are people, for example, who can see the web as a trap and get stuck with that. There are people to whom existence is simply hateful. They see it as nothing but a ghastly mistake. The Lord really erred when he created this world, because he arranged it in such a way that everything lives by eating something else. And what I'm doing is I'm describing a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. I'm not exactly philosophizing, I'm describing a point of view. You can look at life in such a way that the whole thing is this ghastly mistake. For example, there is no such thing as genuine kindness or love. Everybody is really pretending that they're loving other people in order to get some advantage from them. And indeed, there is a point of view which occurs in certain forms of paranoia, where people don't seem to be real. They are mechanisms. And you can think that out quite intensely with a good deal of intelligence. After all, if you start from a good old Darwinian or Freudian basis and see that man is a material machine and that the consciousness of man is simply a very involved and complicated form of chemistry, well, then this awful mechanical things, these Frankenstein that everybody is, they come around and they say, well, I'm alive. I'm a human being. I have a heart. I love, I hate, I have problems. I feel. And you feel like saying, come off it. You're just a monster. And you put on the civilized act because really you're just a set of teeth on the end of a tube. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view. What we need is the fullness of the view. From a certain point of view. From a certain point of view.
Oh, guess what, baby? MEANINGWAVE exists! Oh, baby. Woo. Yo, it's so real. Look at it.
And you've got a ganglion behind those teeth, which you call your brain or your alleged mind. And this thing is really basically there for two purposes. One, to be cunning enough to get something to eat, to put down the tube, and the other, you know what, Mr. Freud, libido. And everything else, you see, can be construed as an elaborate, subtle way of pretending that that's not really what you want to do. But you do, but you put on a great show. Now, some people, according to this view, get mixed up. They so repress that what they really want to do is to eat and to screw. They get involved in higher things that are the masks for these activities and think that that's the real purpose of life. And then they become what's called neurotic. Because they get involved in being pure camouflage. So that's what's called escaping from the facts. Not looking at life, not looking at reality correctly.
Yo, this is so emotional. This is making my heart do all sorts of boom, boom, booms. It's like an extra level. It's so weird. It's like an extra dimension.
Now, this is a very strange thing, you see, that it is partly true.
Like, does the bass sound better, or is that just, am I imagining
The
it?
universe,
Does it sound warmer?
so far
Am I
as
imagining it? It's so strange.
is concerned, is this weird system that lives by everybody eating everybody else. Only what we do to maintain what is called order and civilization is that various species make agreement that they won't eat each other. They'll cooperate and so be an enormous gang which can beat down the others. So the human being is the most successful so far of this gangster arrangement. We are the most predatory monsters on Earth. And we have cooperated to assault the fish and the vegetables and the chickens and the cows and everything, you see? Only we do it by not letting our left hand know what our right hand doeth. In other words, ladies and gentlemen, unless gentlemen happen to be prone to going hunting as a sport, they don't see their food killed. They don't see the slaughterhouse. And so what you get in the butcher, in the market, a steak, is a thing in its own right. It has nothing to do with a cow. Steak is a thing shaped thus and so, and it looks as if it might be like a banana or something like that, and nobody worries. And when a fish is served up, it does indeed look like a fish, but it's not the squiggly, squirmy fish that comes out on the end of the fisherman's line. When you really fish, you realize that the fish doesn't like it very much. Of this gangster arrangement. We are the most predatory monsters on Earth. So let me repeat. Of this gangster arrangement. Of this gangster arrangement. We are the most predatory monsters on Earth. So let me repeat. Of this gangster arrangement. There is that absolutely extraordinary side of things that is really terrifying. And so let me repeat the illustration I used of the cross in the net, where one side of it is scissors that cut and eat, teeth that chew and get this thing in, and the opening side of it is like James Joyce's Ulysses, the girl who says yes, and I said yes, yes, yes. She wants to be absolutely ravaged by her man, see? So it's open. But now comes if we take the dark view of things, the horrible view. Excuse me if I go into some rather grisly details, but have you ever heard of a vagina dentata? That is the idea that in the sexual organ of the woman there are teeth. And a lot of men have this fantasy and so are rendered impotent. They don't make love because they feel that the price of this blessed experience, this creative experience, loving experience, is you're going to get trapped. You're going to get emasculated. You're going to lose your precious member of this gangster arrangement. We are the most predatory monsters on earth. So let me repeat. Of this gangster arrangement. Of this gangster arrangement. We are the most predatory monsters on earth. So let me repeat. Of this gangster arrangement. And, this is a very ancient fantasy. It appears throughout all known history. Because this is simply the woman's come on, where she attracts, but she's out really to get you. She is basically a spider mother, you see, who is selfish and doesn't really love you. Not really, but says she does. And of course, there are on the other side all the tricks of the men, which go without mention.
Yo, come on. Jose says, Dawn, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a game you should play. Yeah. Walking More Poet says, it sounds so much richer, even through stream.
So this is a view of the world as a system of mutual
Whatever Luke says, congratulations, Akira. MEANINGWAVE exists!
No.
MEANINGWAVE is real!
Very profitable.
Thank you, brother. I'm truly happy for you. Yo, I am so gassed right now. God bless you. God bless you all.
Everybody should do in their lifetime sometime
Lifetime sometime.
two things.
Two things. One, put MEANINGWAVE on vinyl.
Is to consider death,
Also that.
to observe skulls and skeletons. Consider death. And to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never. That is a very gloomy thing for contemplation, but it's like manure. Just as manure fertilizes the plants and so on. So the contemplation of death and the acceptance of death is very highly generative of creative life. You get wonderful things out of that. And the other thing to contemplate is to follow the possibility of the idea that you are totally selfish. That you don't have a good thing to be said for you at all. You are a complete, utter rascal. You are a complete, utter rascal. Now, the Christians have avoided this. Because although they say in their Episcopalian form of confession that we have erred and strayed from thy ways like lost sheep, and we have followed too much the devices and desires of our own hearts, too much, you know. We have offended against thy holy laws. We have left undone those things we ought to have done, and done those things which we ought not to have done, and there is no health in us. But it ought to be different. And we're going to do our best to amend with the help of God's grace. That is a real con act. If you equate health with genuine love and perfect unselfishness, then in that sense there is no health in us when we look at ourselves from this point of view. Consider death. To observe skulls and skeletons. Consider death. And to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never. Consider death. To observe skulls and skeletons. Consider death. And to wonder what it will be like to go to sleep and never wake up. Never.
Oh, come on. Come on, side A is about to draw to a close. This is a good closer for side A.
Akira.
This ain't no middle of the mall, sure.
You love
Woo!
yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. You love
Yourself.
in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. Now, when you go deeply into the nature of selfishness, what do you discover? You say, I love myself, I seek my own advantage. Now, what is the self that I love? What do I want? And that becomes an increasingly ever-deepening puzzle. Now, I've often referred to this when you say to somebody else, I love you. It's always rather disconcerting to the person to whom you say that if you imply that you love them with a pure, disinterested, and holy love. They automatically suspect it as being a little bit phony. But if you say, I love you so much I could eat you, that's an expression, it's a way of saying to a person, you attract me so much that I can't help it. I'm absolutely bowled over by you. I'm gone. And people like that. Then they feel they're really being loved, that it's absolutely genuine. But now, I love you so much I could eat you. Now what the devil do I want? I certainly don't want to eat the girl in the sense of literally devouring her, because then she'd disappear. But I love myself. And what is me? In what way do I know me? Well, it suddenly occurs to me that I know me only in terms of you. See, when I think of anything that I know and that I like, then it's always something that can be viewed as other than me. I can never get to look at me, real me. It's always behind. It's always hidden. And I really don't know it well enough to know whether I love it or not. Maybe I don't. Maybe it's an appalling mess. But certainly the things I do love and that I want from a selfish point of view, when I really think about them, they're all something else that's in a way outside me. You love yourself in terms of what is better. In terms of what is better. You love yourself in terms of what is better. In terms of what is better. Now we saw that there is a reciprocity, a total mutual interdependence between what we call the self and what we call the other. That's the warp and the woof. And so if you are perfectly honest about loving yourself, and you don't pull any punches, you don't pretend that you are anything other than exactly what you are, you suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You suddenly come to discover that the self you love, if you really go into it, is the universe. You don't like all of it. You're selective about it, as we saw in the beginning. Perception is selection. But on the whole, you love yourself in terms of what is better. In terms of what is better. You love yourself in terms of what is better. In terms of what is better. You love yourself in terms of what is better. In terms of what is better. You love yourself in terms of what is other. In terms of what is other. It is only in terms of what is other that you have a self at all.
Aye. Aye, aye. Ooh. Yo, listen to that. Would it be like totally crackleception if I sampled the crackle of this record and then put it on the next record? Obviously I have to do that. That's obviously something I have to do. Yo, Make some noise for side A. You know, and what's funny is, it's not that funny. I construct these albums, these Wattswave albums, as albums with side A, B, C, D. I've actually been doing that since I started making them as these albums, these Wattswave albums. I construct them as side A, side B, side D. The idea being that each quarter is in itself a journey and an adventure that works as its own sort of piece, you know? It was meant to be this way, but you know, that it is now this way is just really beautiful. It's really beautiful. Ego Cognis says, love the sound, Mr. Don, that vinyl poppin'. Luke says, side A exists. Walking More Poet says, in awe. The cool thing about sides as well is you get a little pause. You know what I mean? You've had your record, then you turn it over and you have a little moment to reflect on what you've just experienced. You know, Luke Ford says it's like Demolition Man, love making compared to the real thing. Yeah, that's right. Who said these comments read like Reddit/audio files or something? I love that shit. Yeah, Dan Frank says it sounds surprisingly good. Why are you surprised, Dan Frank? Why are you surprised? But I don't know much about vinyl. Does it get mixed down to mono? No. I recall listening to some records where you could hear elements that were not present in the CD master, yeah. I mean, just listening to that now, just me, it just felt so deep and thick and warm and textured. I don't know. For me, it was very magical. It was making my tummy go real weird, baby. Feels like it works. Luke says there's something to be said for the soul of analog. It sounds pretty deep. Yeah. Diminished 7 says the hats sound really good. Yeah. Austin Z says, feel like I need to bring some holy water for the first vinyl playthrough. Yes, you do. Holy water is a requisite. It's a requisite. Let's get cracking with side B. I mean, so far, so good. That sounded great. To me, for a test pressing, for me. And let me know what you think. You know, let me know what you think. I mean, side A? Are we signing off on side A? We're going to sign off on it? It sounds good to me. It sounds real good to me. Steve Gondar says, I'm inspired to grow my facial hair as long as possible. Get after it, baby. Go forth and be mighty. I love that pop. Side B.
One of the very great things that C.G. Jung contributed to mankind's understanding was the concept of the shadow. That everybody has a shadow, and that the main task of the psychotherapist is to do what he called to integrate the evil, to, as it were, put the devil in us in its proper function. Because you see, it's always the devil, the unacknowledged one, the outcast, the scapegoat, the bastard, the bad guy. You see, the black sheep of the family. It's always from that point, what we could call the fly in the ointment. You see, that generation comes. In other words, in the same way as in the drama, to have the play, it's necessary to introduce a villain. It's necessary to introduce a certain element of trouble. So, in the whole scheme of life, there has to be the shadow. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Integrate the evil. Integrate the evil. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Everybody has a shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. So this is why there is a very strange association between crime and all naughty things and holiness. You see, holiness is way beyond being good. Good people aren't necessarily holy people. A holy person is one who is whole, who has, as it were, reconciled his opposites. And so there's always something slightly scary about holy people. And other people react to them in very strange ways. They can't make up their minds whether they're saints or devils. So holy people have, throughout history, always created a great deal of trouble, along with their creative results. Take Jesus, for example. Trouble that Jesus created is absolutely incalculable. Think of the Crusades, the Inquisition, the heaven only knows what's gone on in the name of Jesus. Freud's a big troublemaker, as well as a great healer, you see. It all goes together. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Integrate the evil. Integrate the evil. The shadow. The bastard, the bad guy, the black sheep of the family. The shadow. Everybody has a shadow, because without the shadow there can't be the substance. Person is scary because he is like the earthquakes, or better still, he's like the ocean. See, the ocean on a lovely sunny day, you can say, oh, isn't that gorgeous, and you can go into it and relax and float around. But boy, when the storm comes, does that thing get mad? Terrifying. So there is in us the ocean, you see. And Jung felt that the whole point was to bring the two together by a kind of fantastic honesty, to penetrate one's own motivations to the depths.
Jung had a tremendous humor. And he knew
that nobody can be completely honest. You will try and have a great deal of success exploring your motivation and your dark, unconscious depths. That nobody can be completely honest. You will try and have a great deal of success, but there will be a certain point at which you will say, well, I've had enough of that. You know? Do you see how, in a strange way, there's a certain sanity in that? When a person indulges in a certain kind of duplicity, of deception, there is something, you all laughed when I said that. There was something humorous about it. And this humor is a very funny thing. Basically, humor is an attitude of laughter about oneself. There is malicious humor, which is laughing at other people. But real deep humor is laughter at oneself. Now, why fundamentally do you laugh about yourself? What makes you laugh about yourself? Isn't it because you know that there is a big difference between what goes on the outside and what goes on the inside? That if I hint, you see, that your inside is the opposite of your outside, it makes people laugh, if I don't do it unkindly. If I get up in the attitude of a preacher and say, you're a bunch of miserable sinners and you ought to be different, nobody laughs. But if I say, well, after all, boys will be boys and girls will be girls, and we all know, then people laugh. Nobody can be completely honest. You will try and have a great deal of success exploring your motivation and your dark, unconscious depths. That nobody can be completely honest. You will try and have a great deal of success, but there will be a certain point at which you will say, well, I've had enough of that. You know. Now, you see, what's happening when we do that? Now, I passed you around a lot of embroidery to look at before we started. And I'm perfectly sure that you got the point. That there's a big difference between the front and the back. In some forms of embroidery, the back is very different from the front because people take shortcuts. In the front, everything is orderly, and it is supposed to be kind of messy on the back side. See, which side will you wear? You've got to be sure you get the front in the front, have the back in the back. The back has all the little tricks in it, all the shortcuts, all the lowdown that people don't acknowledge. And it's exactly the same with the way we live. You know, like sweeping the dust under the carpet in a hurry just before the guests come. I mean, we do ever so many things like that. And if you don't do it, if you don't think you do it, and you think, well, really, my embroidery is the same on both sides, see? Well, you're deceiving yourself. Because what you're doing is you're taking the shortcuts in another dimension, which you're keeping out of consciousness. Everybody takes the shortcuts. Everybody plays tricks. Everybody has in himself an element of duplicity, of deception. Because you see, from this point of view that I'm discussing, where the web is the trap, to be is to deceive. Nobody can be completely honest. You will try and have a great deal of success exploring your motivation and your dark, unconscious depths. That nobody can be completely honest. You will try and have a great deal of success, but there will be a certain point at which you will say, well, I've had enough of that. You know. To be is to deceive. To be is to deceive.
Yo, there's something about the way the tracks roll into each other on a record. Because it's one thing. It's not a bunch of little things glued together.
Think of camouflage. The chameleon who changes its color. Think of the butterfly pretending it has eyes. Think of the flower saying to the bee, like my honey. Bee says, wow. But then that means that the bee has to be. It has to go on living, and all the trouble it takes to go around collecting honey and raising other bees and organizing itself and doing that dance which tells the other bees where there's more honey. There's all that stuff to do. But the flower was deceptive. Life is a drama, and a drama is a deception. It's a big act. When you peel an onion and you don't really understand the nature of an onion, you might look for the pit in the center, like any ordinary fruit has. But the onion doesn't have a center. It's all skins. So when you get right down, there's nothing but a bunch of skins. You say, well, that was a kind of disappointing. But of course, you have to understand that the skins are the part that you eat. Well, in rather the same way, you see, you find when you explore yourself and your motivations, you go through and through and you try to find out that thing which really is genuine. That thing which really is genuine. Well, in rather the same way, you see, you find when you explore yourself and your motivations, you go through and through and you try to find out that thing which really is genuine. That thing which really is genuine. That's why in Zen discipline, they give you koans which require a perfectly genuine act. An act of total and absolute sincerity. And people knock themselves out trying to do this thing. But they always know that the master's going to catch them. Because he reads their thought. You know that story of von Kleist about the man who had a fight with a bear, and the bear would read his thoughts? So that the only way of hitting the bear was to do so not on purpose. Because the bear would know in advance. So it's the same in working with a Zen master. You have to do the genuine act, not on purpose. But since you're put in a situation where it's rather formal, and you're supposed to do it on purpose, you're stuck, see? So you explore the onion, and you go in and in and in, and then you find, well, it's all a deception. Well, in rather the same way, you see, you find when you explore yourself and your motivations, you go through and through and you try to find out that thing which really is genuine. That thing which really is genuine. Well, in rather the same way, you see, you find when you explore yourself and your motivations, you go through and through and you try to find out that thing which really is genuine. That thing which really is genuine.
Yo, come on.
Now then the question arises, who's deceiving who? Who's fooling who? I'm fooling me? What is fooling? Now then the question arises, who's deceiving who? Who's fooling who? I'm fooling me? What is fooling? Fooling is playing like you're there when you're not. You know, getting somebody else to answer your name in the roll call. So, we're all, you see, this is the metaphysical basis of it. This is what the Hindus mean by Maya, the world illusion. The world is playing it's there when it isn't. And it's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out. And it's a trap. And it sucks you in. And you can't get out. And it's a thorough big trap too. But always when you get an idea like this or a feeling like this, follow it to its extreme. Don't back out from it. If you find you're selfish, go to the extreme of what selfishness means. Confusion largely results from not following feelings or ideas to their depth. You know, people think they want to be immortal. They'd like to live forever. Do you really want to do that? Think about it. Really go into it. What it would be like. People say they want this, that, and the other. They want this kind of car, they want this kind of dress, this much money, and so on. It's always a good idea to think it right through. What it would involve to be in that situation, to have those desires fulfilled. It's a trap, and it sucks you in, and you can't get out of it. It's a trap, and it sucks you in, and you can't get out of it. It's a trap, and it sucks you in, and you can't get out of it. It's a trap, and it sucks you in, and you can't get out of it. Also, when you form a relationship to another person, think it through too. You see? How inconvenient would they be? However attractive. Always turn the embroidery round and look at the underside, but don't get caught doing it. See, that's something one does on the side, in secret. Because otherwise you play the game that everything is as it's supposed to be on the front. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. But that makes you humorous. And that makes you human. We've discussed the web from 3 points of view. As an analogy of the selective operation of our senses and mind, whereby certain things in the world are picked out as significant according to certain game rules. The game that we are playing mostly is the survival game. That is to say, the game ought to go on. Play the survival game has a kind of element in it which makes it difficult, because we tend to say the first rule of this game is that it's serious, and that messes the whole thing up. So you have to watch out, in other words, when you play, for contradictory game rules, self-contradictory game rules. Because if you get mixed up into them, the game ceases to be worth the candle. You start straining at doing something, then it just isn't worth it. Then the second thing that we observed was the web as an analogy of mutual interdependence. We could call it the idea that all existence is relative, that
that all existence is transaction. The transaction being typically exemplified by, say, the operation of buying and selling, in which there can be no buying without somebody selling, and there can be no selling without somebody else buying. That kind of interdependence, of the inside going together with the outside. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Then we explored the web as a trap. The spider's web. Won't you come into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. And we saw what would look at all of life from the point of view that it is original selfishness and original hunger. And we found that if you take that point of view to its ultimate extreme, it dissolves. And it isn't so bad after all. Shakespeare says, it is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. When it's put that way, it doesn't seem so bad after all. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. What is in you going together with what is outside you is absolutely fundamental to existence. It is existence. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. Existence is relativity. I remember that I had a Zen master friend who wrote a letter to a friend of mine which was passed on to me. This friend of mine was aspiring to be a writer, and he was trying to write novels that would put across Buddhism to people. Sugar the pill. And my Zen master friend didn't approve of this at all. He said, don't write any story to people. Write it to the great sky. Because all the real masters of literature, especially novelists and storytellers, are great masters of nonsense. Think of Lewis Carroll. You can use Lewis Carroll, and he did use Alice in Wonderland, as a Zen textbook. 'Twas brillig and the slithy toes that gyre and gimble in the wave. That's Zen. I had a discussion with a great master in Japan. We were talking about the various people who are working to translate the Zen books into English. He said, that's a waste of time. If you really understand Zen, he said, you can use any book. You could use the Bible. You could use Alice in Wonderland. You could use the dictionary. Because, he said, the sound of the rain needs no translation. 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 Needs no translation. Sound of the rain. The 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 sound of the rain. Evening rain. It is the banana leaf that speaks of it first. You see, that's the point. And all the talk in the world doesn't get it unless you listen to the talk in a new way. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation. The sound of the rain needs no translation.
The sound of the rain needs no translation.
Hey, side B. That was side B. Woo. Yo, come on. Yo, side B, make some noise for side B. Of the test pressing. The test pressing, baby. That's Yo, come on. Holy cow. Holy cow. Cindy Bailey says, wow. Bucko Chip says, chills. Jeff Leveland says, legit. Mike Better says, side B is crazy powerful. Walking Mole Poet says, I have no words. Caroline H says, epicness. Ego Cognizant says, love it. J Palm says,
perfect.
Side B gets an approval for the test pressing from Walking Mole Poet. In Mandus Lysanity says, I got lost for a second. Yeah, me too, baby. Yo. Whew. Yo. Yo, we've got work to do. We need to like go bang on every door on God's green earth and say, MEANINGWAVE exists! Because we need to get everything on vinyl. By Jove, we need to get everything on vinyl. Holy cow. Holy cow, it sounds so good. Oof. I got like tears on my tears. You ever get that thing where you like, you think you got a tear, but it's like the tear has a tear? You ever get that? Oof. The sound of the record needs no translations, as Martin Potter 21. Quite indeed. That was side A and B of Wattswave VI, Wattswave 6, The Web of Life Part 2. And like I said, you see, and you can tell when you listen to it like that, right? That's how I structured it. I structured it as a double vinyl. And you can see how there the sound of the rain is a really quite epic peak of a moment. You could almost have that as one album. A and B, that's one album, right? You could have that as one album. Would be a pretty epic album, but put it back in its skirt, in its jacket. And, let's get out side 2. Side 2. YouTube hero Alex, what's up, baby? Says a very proud moment indeed. Very proud moment. Make some noise for yourselves. You did it. Make some noise for yourselves, M-A-Z. Pat yourselves on everything, you know? Look what you did. Look what you did. Ooh. Side C. That's side C. Hey, Hercules. Look. Do you know what this is? Come here, Hercules. Come here, son. That's nice. Come around here. Come around here and have a look. Look what Daddy made. You're not gonna die. Look what we made. Look, it's a record. It's very exciting, this like, because you're like, oh, is it going to play the right music? Is it going to, like, did they accidentally mess up? Is it going to play Itsy Bitsy Teeny Weeny Yellow Polka Dot Kitty? Who knows? Brandon Braithwaite says, Akira the Inspirational. I'm pushing a dream of mine now. Thanks to Akira, man. Thanks for putting out so much kindness. Hey, proud of you, brother. Proud of you. Thank you for being here. Go forth, be mighty, you bad man. All right, side C, let's get it.
So you see, there's something going on. This web may be looked at as pattern, and the world is basically patterning. What else do you do when you come to think of it? What else do you do when you come to think of it? When you eat, you are turning food into the pattern of your skeleton, your muscles, and your nervous system. That's a pattern. And you say, you see, basically, hooray for that pattern. That's a pattern. And you say, you see, basically, hooray for that pattern. But then you want other patterns. You like to look through a microscope and see the patterns that exist in the small world. And see the patterns. You like to look through a kaleidoscope or a kaleidoscope and see the patterns. You like to have paintings around and see the patterns. You like to watch the water play and see the patterns. You want to watch the birds go and the clouds and all that. Fascinating patterns. And that really does, doesn't it, seem to be the point. I mean, what do you do when you're very rich? Take some rascal of ancient times who became very rich by all sorts of skullduggery and warfare and so on. He got himself a suit of armor, a beautiful sword. And he had the armorer make the most intricate patterns, arabesques of inlaid gold on the steel. Why? Because it's, as they say among the Pennsylvania Dutch, it's for nice. It's a great thing to have all that jazz. And that's what we go for. That's a pattern. And you say, you see, basically, hooray for that pattern. That's a pattern. And you say, you see, basically, hooray for that pattern. But then you want other patterns. You like to look through a microscope and see the patterns that exist in the small world. And see the patterns. You like to look through a kaleidoscope or a kaleidoscope and see the patterns. You like to have paintings around and see the patterns. You like to watch the water play and see the patterns. You want to watch the birds go and the clouds and all that. Fascinating patterns. Perfect.
Yo, I forgot this song was even on this record. Holy cow.
What do people do most of the time? What would they like to do, really? What's your idea of heaven? What's your idea of heaven? What do people do most of the time? What would they like to do, really? What's your idea of heaven? What's your idea of heaven? When people are unoccupied, as far as I can make out, they get together and they sing and dance. Or else watch somebody else do it. Nowadays we live in a non-participative culture and we don't do very much singing and dancing. We're lugubrious. We watch other people do it on television. What we really are interested in is to be able to spend all the time going, you know, the method. And that's what our heart's doing, that's what our lungs are doing, it's what our eyeballs are doing, and it's what all these fantastic capillaries of the veins are doing. They're going just judy booty hubba bubba you see? And that's the point. Now the thing is, ought this to be allowed? You know, dare we admit it? What do people do most of the time? What would they like to do, really? What's your idea of heaven? What's your idea of heaven? What
to do, really? What's your idea of heaven? What's your idea of heaven?
Because we've been brought up, you see, in a cultural context in which the universe is presided over by somebody serious. It's only very, very occasional obscure references in the Jewish and Christian scriptures to the idea that God dances. Of course, in Hindus, they know Shiva dances, and all the gods dance. They're represented in the dance. But in our way of looking at things, no. Back, deep down in, there is something that you must respect. You mustn't laugh in church, especially if you got in front of the throne of heaven. Everybody would be dead silent. Wow, you see, I mean, that's really serious. Here is the Father Almighty, world without end. And you watch out. Don't you laugh. Why not? Because Father Almighty, world without end is a very insecure fellow. If anybody laughed, he might feel uneasy, you know. Something wrong going on. That someone challenged his power.
What do people do most of the time? What do they like to do, really? What's your idea of heaven? What's your idea of heaven? What do people do most of the time? What do they like to do, really? What's your idea of heaven? What's your idea of heaven? Whoa.
He's a funny fellow, you see, as we mythologize ultimate reality in the form of this cosmic grandpapa, who is also a king and is demanding above all things reverence and respect.
Wow. Who remembers this being made? Live on the Meaning stream number 3. Wow.
So it's difficult for us, because of that cultural heritage, to accept, to accommodate our common sense to the idea that the web might basically be playful.
Yo, the
That
bottom
it
end.
might be like somebody saying,
Like the kick and the bass just mesh together so nicely. Ooh.
child. And the other child has some little hesitation. I don't know whether I ought to play with you. You come from the wrong side of the track. I don't feel like playing today. I feel serious. I don't think play is important. We ought to do something real, like wash the dishes for Mother, who, incidentally, has forgotten that the whole point of washing the dishes is playful. Arranging patterns of life. It's playful. So nice. Playful. Arranging the patterns of life. don't wash the dishes for a serious reason. You like the table to look nice, you know. You don't want to serve up the dishes for dinner with all the leavings of breakfast still lying on them. So why do you want the table to look nice? Well, again, it's for nice. You like the pattern of it that way. People get terribly compulsive about doing these things. And they think that going on arranging the patterns of life is something that's a duty. That means a debt, that you owe it to yourself or to your family or to someone or other. You're in debt. See, that's the trouble.
When a child comes into the world, the parents play an awful game on it. Instead of being honest, they say, we've made such great sacrifices for you. Here we are, we've supported you, we've paid for your education, and you're an ungrateful little bastard. And the child feels terribly guilty because what we do is we build into every human being the idea that existence is guilt.
Arranging the patterns of life.
Arranging the patterns of life.
For nice.
Arranging the patterns of life. Arranging the patterns of life.
For nice.
The existentialists make a big thing of this, and you watch out for them, because they're hoaxers, and they say that guilt is ontological. If you're not feeling guilty, you're not human. That was because Papa and Mama said, look at all the trouble you've caused us.
You shouldn't dare to exist. You have no rights, but maybe we'll give you some out of the generosity of our hearts so that you'll be permanently indebted to us. And so everybody goes around with that sort of thing in their background unless they have different kinds of papas and mamas who didn't play that trick. And if they don't do it, somebody else does it. Auntie comes around and says, you don't realize what your father and mother have done for you. You think, you know, you can just stay around here and goof off, but they have sweated blood to give you your clothes and food and so on, and you ought to be grateful for it. But that's not the way to make people grateful. They won't be grateful that way. They'll imitate gratefulness. They'll go and put on a big show and say, oh, thank you so much, I feel so indebted to you, and so on and so forth, and they'll make it look good. But isn't real. But isn't real. Because, actually, one's father and mother had a great deal of fun bringing you into being, or we hope they did. And they wanted to do that the worst way. They have no reason to complain about all these things and try and make the children feel guilty. Playful. Arranging the patterns of life. Playful.
Arranging the patterns of life.
For nice. Playful. Arranging the patterns of life. Playful. Arranging the patterns of life. For nice.
Arranging the patterns of life.
It is an amazing thing in our culture. Everybody is afflicted with ontological guilt. For example, if a policeman comes to the door, everybody is instantly frightened. You wonder, what on earth have I done? And there are certain clergy who are absolute experts in making you feel guilty. They are really marvelous. And there are clergy of all kinds, for all classes, and for all levels of intelligence. And they can make you feel real guilty. Only you have to watch always what games people are playing. You have to watch always what games people are playing. You have to watch always what games people are playing. You have to watch always what games people are playing. Now you see, the thing is that really is a puzzle. They don't admit they're playing games. And when a person is playing games and doesn't admit that they're playing games, then you have some kind of a trickster who isn't really being fair to you. Now, of course, the game, that this game is not a game, has a certain kind of fascinating quality to it. How mixed up can we all get? Let's try. How mixed up can we all get? Let's try. See? There's a certain possibility in that. I would like to go insane and be as insane as anybody has ever been and be the farthest out crazy nut in the world. See? That's a game. But it's not a good game. It's a game being played by a person who didn't really understand that everyday life was a game too. And I think the most important thing is to admit this. Only you have to watch always what games people are playing. You have to watch always what games people are playing. You have to watch always what games people are playing. You have to watch always what games people are playing. Really humane people admit that they're rascals. That's, you see, on the side of the not respectable, the selfish. But so also, all humane people should admit that they're jokers, that they're playing games and playing tricks. That I am doing it on you. I am most ready to admit this. I hoaxed you all into coming here to tell you what? It was a trap, you see, but I'm going to make it an entertaining trap so that you won't feel so badly about it. Now, this is philosophy, but I think philosophy is like music. You go to a concert and you listen to somebody play Bach or Mozart or Beethoven. And what's all that about? And what's all that about? You know, it isn't about anything except... You know, that's what it's about. What it's about. And so, in the same way, as I conceive my work as a philosopher, I'm simply pointing out that existence is the same kind of a thing as a Bach invention. It's going this way and that way, and hills and waters going all out there, and the fish are going around in it, and breeding, and the ducks are... And that's the same thing as dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. So, if you can admit that that's what it's all about, you have a little problem. Because there's not only the threat that it really might be serious and that you shouldn't be laughing about it, but there's also a kind of opposite. Then are you saying it's merely
just fiddling around. See? I mean, you're saying it's only a game? Is that all there is to it? Well, now, what do you think? You see, this again is a question that everybody has to think things through. What did you want? Didn't you want a game? Did you want it to be serious in the end? I mean, think about the question. What kind of a thing would you like God to be? What would you like to do for eternity? Really? You know, that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about.
Hey.
You know, that's what it's about. You know, that's what it's about.
Hey. Yo, come out. You're listening to the glorious sound of Wattswave 6 on vinyl. That extra warmth you hear, the way that blow end just gels together so in such a heavenly fashion. Oh, come on. Yo, make some noise for side C. I don't know, man. All of these sides are great. I mean, great is a far too low-key a word for what these sides are. What we're doing right here, in case you just joined us, is we're listening to the test presses of the Wattswave vinyl. Wattswave 6, the Web of Life Part 2, has arrived. The test pressing arrived. Also, the 7-inch single that was a bonus, you know, that was brought on by the success of the vinyl campaign, secured an additional 7-inch single. And that also test pressing arrived, and we checked that. We checked the A-side, and it sounded fantastic. We didn't listen to the B-side, because the B-side's a secret song that no one's ever heard before, and you're going to hear it exclusively when you put that vinyl on your turntable. But we've listened to sides A, B, and C, and it sounds so lush. It sounds so lush. Matt Crittenden, who says vinyl hype. Austin Z says, I don't know what it's about. Oh, that's coming up, isn't it? We got side D. Side D is coming up. D, baby, D. And big D, you know, is a big side. It's a big side on this record. I'm very proud of this record. It's so nice hearing it on vinyl, because you're like, that's what the kicks are supposed to sound like. That last one, I remember when I wrote it, you know, and it was very magical the way I wrote that song, because I was writing the album in sequence. I was just basically just like going through this talk that Alan Watts had given and scoring it essentially as it went along. And okay, now on to the next bit, and it all flowed in key and in BPM, in tempo, beats per minute. It flowed in key, and as we got to that part, he suddenly starts going do 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 do, and he sang perfectly in tune with the music I had at that point, and in rhythm. It was so magical, and I had this kind of vision of it, you know, like with the way I wanted it to sound and all that. I kind of closed my eyes, and the vision was like Dr. Alan Watts and myself performing at a folk festival in the 60s, one of those big, ridiculous folk festivals, you know? And we're doing that song, and it's summertime at a folk festival in the 60s, and we're doing that song. And that was like the visual thing. And listening to there on that warm vinyl, it finally sounded like it always did in my head. It finally hit that exact sweet spot, baby. So very magical. Shouts out to Luke, says, just slipped on my killer Sony cans. Wow. Right? Exactly. I got my killer cans on, and yo, it's just like liquid honey up in these killer cans, baby. Bless up Brendan Braithwaite. Bless up Divinity 7th. One Slick Mama. Melinda K. Yo. What up, Luke? Congratulations, Akira. MEANINGWAVE exists. It really does. It really does. We're going to listen to side D. We're going to listen to side D. Oh, I'm getting a bit emotional. I'm getting a bit emotional. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do love flipping over a vinyl, you know. Very beautiful feeling. Here we go. Side D. How do we think? How do we feel, by the way? Are we happy with the test pressing so far? Are we happy with the test pressing so far? Austin Z says, "Shouts out to Web of Life Volume 1." Yeah, that's on its way. We'll be able to listen to that soon. That would be exciting. Yeah. In we go with that. Yeah, baby. Luke is very happy. I'm glad you're very happy, Luke. I'm very happy also. It's a beautiful day to be alive. Here at the Big Recorded Days to be alive. Glenn Barnett says, visuals driving the tracks, so epic. Roman Dubzansky says, this is amazing. House Palmer says, sounds crisp from here. Roman Dubzansky says, synchronization. House Palmer is happy. Martin Potter 21 says, I'd say tonight has been an overwhelming success. Shirani says, so tell me, Akira, what you've been up to. MEANINGWAVE? Oh! Oh, shoot!
Akira.
Yo!
It's dawn. It's good.
Here is Jan van Eyck,
Yikes!
who paints the eschatological picture of the Last Judgment. What a strange man he must have been. Here is heaven above and hell below. And in heaven, here's God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Ghost, all there together, and Virgin Mary, and the apostles, and they're all sitting in committee. And they have an aisle, you know, just like in church, and there they are facing each other, and they're all sitting there very solemnly. I don't know what it's about. Below, right at the end of the aisle, you see, where all these apostles are sitting, is St. Michael. A rather gorgeous figure in beautiful armor, with wings. And underneath him is a bat-winged skull. And beneath those bat wings, all horror is let loose. Michael is about to slush that skull, see, with his sword. But below, there are nude bodies, some of them pretty comely. They're all squirming in there, and they're being eaten by worms. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what it's about. They're eating the worms, and there's a kind of a mush. It's like the sort of situation you find when you turn up a big rock. There's all that going on underneath. Now, there's no question whatever that Van Eyck, the painter, had more fun painting that part of the picture than he did painting the top part. So in the same way with Hieronymus Bosch and with Bruegel, they painted every kind of weird, surrealistic deviltry going on. And they really loved it. But they couldn't admit it. I don't know what it's about. I don't know what it's about.
Wow. Wow, that's exactly what it was supposed to sound like. Ooh. Yo, this is like Christmas. I forgot I made this record.
Now, the only time when the holy people had a ball was when, for example, the Islamic artists made arabesques and the Celtic artists made fantastically intricate lattices to decorate the margins of their gospels and missals. They are unbelievably beautiful, or take stained glass or something like that. But what are they doing? What's it all about? What are they doing? What's it all about? What will you do in heaven? What will you do in heaven? See, it's like the musician. He likes to take a melody and he likes to put another melody that fits in with it, and another one that fits in with both, and then a fourth one, and arrange them together, and he invents an instrument like an organ that he plays with two hands. Then he adds foot pedals so that he can play with his 2 feet. And he get this hand doing one rhythm, this doing another, this doing another, and this doing another. See, that makes it complicated. And so when drummers get together and somebody starts out with a certain rhythm, and then that rhythm has holes in it. In other words, it has certain silence in it. He comes and picks out a pattern. And what do you imagine DNA is? The basic form of biological existence. Now, DNA is like a necklace with different kinds of beads in it. And according to the order and the way those beads are arranged, so you get genes, and so you get the particular form of life that emerges from those genes. So what we're doing way down is saying, she loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. She loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. She loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. She loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. Well, this is the way life is going on. Hey! She loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. She loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. She loves me, she don't, she'll have me, she won't, she would if she could, but she can't. Well, this is the way life is going on. Yeah! The question is then, see, in your heart of hearts, you can take the attitude that all this is terrible, or that it's dreadfully serious. You see, you can play comedies, you can play tragedies, farces, histories and romances and all that kind of thing, and you can take these various attitudes to it. But if you are awakened, and as it were, you've been let into the secret, which is what we've been talking about, because the web is also the curtain, the veil which hides the face of God from the angels. See, there's always this veil. That's why we like to striptease. Because there's an implication that this, you should never give the show completely away. There always should be a little bit of the veil left, you see. There always is. There always is. Because even if you find the striptease artist gets completely naked, there's really something hidden. What's the motivation? What sort of a person is she? Would I really like to embrace her? Or would she have bad breath? You never really know. You never really get to the bottom. That's why everybody, all men, poets, say that women are basically mysterious. And they ought to be. So are men basically mysterious, from women's point of view, although they play that they're not. See, this is the way it goes. Men are supposed to be very open. And they say, well, of a certain situation, this is the way it is. After all, it's perfectly rational. It's a matter of practical affairs. And women say, well, they say, I'm not quite as articulate as you are, but I know there's something you've left out, but I can't explain it. And by this means, everything is kept going. You love me, she don't. She love me, she won't. She will if you go, but she can't. You love me, she don't. She love me, she won't. She will if you go, but she can't. You love me, she don't. She love me, she won't. She will if you go, but she can't. But this is the way life is going on. You love me, she don't. She love me, she won't. She will if you go, but she can't. You love me, she don't. She love me, she won't. She will if you go, but she can't. You love me, she don't. She love me, she won't. She will if you go, but she can't. But this is the way life is going on.
Yeah!
As a result comes all this. You see?
Hey! Keeps doing ill stuff. Make some noise, M-A-Z. Make some noise for this thing that you've done.
Yes, I think this.
Look what you've done, M-A-Z.
I'd like to share with you a style of life and an attitude to life and an insight. I've taken you on one side and said,
Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. There's a big deception going on. And you're involved in it, but I just thought you ought to know. I'm terribly puzzled about the way people go out of their way to disenjoy themselves. They take so much trouble about it. And all around, you have only to look and you see this perfect passion for making the world look grisly. And it isn't only shop builders and garage owners who do this kind of thing. It's also people who profess to be painters. They're actually using excrements for painting in Paris today, on the theory that the world is shot to pieces, and that since the artist is a representative of his times, he ought to show the times as they really are, as a social critic. So he makes the most weird. He paints Campbell's soup cans. And he makes music that shrieks and screams. He just goes out of his way to make it sound as ugly as he possibly can manage. And the ingenuity is about that is endless. Because that is the times. These are the critical. You see? Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. There's a big deception going on. And you're involved in it, but I just thought you ought to know it. Let's take the character of the Pied Piper. The person who brings you an invitation to dance. I say then, you see, there is going to be a dance this evening, and I would like you all to come. That's the spirit in which I invite you to a seminar. I am not inviting you in the spirit of saying, no, we're going to have to discuss some very grave matters, and you ought to be awake to all these things and arouse your social confidence. When you get through with all that, then what? When you get through with all that, then what? When you get through with feeding the hungry and clothing the naked, and we are making great strides with automation and technology in abolishing poverty totally, then what are we going to do? Then what are we going to do? Well, you see, if you've got all these people clothed and fed and so on, and then they say, well, now what next? If you've got a kind of Quakerish state of mind, you don't know what to do. Well, feed and clothe somebody else. Get busy. But then, where is that leading? Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. There's a big deception going on. And you're involved in it, but I just thought you ought to know it. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. Listen, kids. Things aren't what they seem. Don't be fooled. There's a big deception going on. And you're involved in it. But I just thought you ought to know it.
Hear that bass twang. Yo, that Seinfeld bass twang right there. I bet it, like, I swear you can't even hear that on the digital version. Yeah. Ha! Ha! Oh, come on. Come on.
Akira.
Smash hits. Yeah, yeah.
To spread joy, you have to have it. To impart delight, you have to be more or less delightful. And to be delightful is not some factor of trying to make yourself look delightful. It is to do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. You become thereby delightful to others. It is to do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. You become thereby delightful to others. That's to say, people who are interesting are people who are interested. Any person, for example, who is constantly thinking about all sorts of other things and other people and so on, because they're fascinating, becomes a fascinating person. But a person who doesn't think about anybody else and who's got very little going on inside their skull is boring. So in other words, your engagement with the external world, the more you are involved, the more your personality is enriched. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. You become thereby delightful to others. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you.
MAC!
Do things that are delightful to you.
Make records.
You become thereby delightful to others.
Yeah!
But if you try to enrich your personality by taking a course in how to win friends and influence people, or how to be a real person, you'll become Mr. Washout. You'll be like somebody trying to get a good nutrition by biting his nails, and then the fingers next, and then half an arm gone and so on. You're entirely nourishing yourself with yourself. Now, of course, on a vast scale, the universe does that. It eats itself up. That's why the symbol of the snake swallowing its tail is a very fundamental, archaic symbol of life. But the way it's done is that the snake has in some part of the ring a place where it's not sensitive. It's called the unconscious. Where it doesn't know that what comes to it in the form of food is actually what left it in the form of excrement. That thing is... Don't mention it. After all, as the Lord said at the beginning of the universe, you must draw the line somewhere. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. You become thereby delightful to others. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. Do things that are delightful to you. You become thereby delightful to others.
Hey! Hey! MAZ, come on, make some noise for yourself. Look what you did, MAZ. Yo. This exists. This exists. MEANINGWAVE exists. Yow. And as we draw to the end of Wattswave 6, The Web of Life Part 2.
And so,
as a result of there always being a kind of gap. That's the gap, like where the electric spark jumps. That's the thing behind your head, behind your eyes that you could never get to look at. It's the gap. And because of that little gap, the circle doesn't just revolve in a dull way, just go round and round and round like a boring thing. It has rhythm. See, if I say, no rhythm. See, it's just one long sound. After a while we say, oh, cut it out. Or we just become insensitive to it. What we want to hear is the break in it, you see. And we want to hear it go on, off, and vanish, and come back again, and so on. And it sets up a rhythm. That becomes interesting. That's putting gaps between. See? You need those gaps. You need those gaps.
The gaps in the raps.
You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. And behind that was another rhythm doing a rhythm. So now you see it, now you don't. Now you see it, now you don't. Oh, that's pretty dull. So now you see it, now you don't. Now you see it, now you don't. Oh, that's pretty dull. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to have you see it 3 times, and then with a regular not see it between them. Then there's going to be a longer not see it after that one. And then I'm going to do something very complicated after that so that you don't really know when it's going to come next. So there's going to be a surprise. You know how we all do that? You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. And behind that was another rhythm doing a rhythm. And interesting people are those who do this in very involved ways. Dull people, sort of people who put their hats on absolutely straight, are the kind of people, for example, who have the same meal every day. Exactly the same thing, always. See? They have no inventiveness. They have the same routine, they go to the same office, they answer the same kind of letters, and that's that. See? But then, if they want to start up a more interesting kind of business and make more money, they take the people who make clothes. They figure out fashion. It's going to be a new thing for ladies, a new style. We're going to make them do long skirts instead of the short skirts. Like this. Then finally they thought about having topless women. They're going to play around with that and have an absolutely scandalous ball. But that's the whole thing, you see. It's this thing of rhythm. And yes, you ask, well, I see that. What is doing this rhythm? Who, after all, am I? And as you explore deeper and deeper and deeper into the nature of yourself, you find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm. Rhythm doing a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. You find that you're a rhythm doing a rhythm. And behind that was another rhythm doing a rhythm. Your vibration. And who is doing all this? And who is doing all this? Why, he just came around the very one. We were looking for him and he vanished. And who is doing all this? And who is doing all this? Why, he just came around the very one. We were looking for him and he vanished.
Who's doing all this? And who's doing all this? Who's doing all this?
And then just when we weren't looking for him again, there he is. But every time we try to see, he isn't there. Now do you see that? That situation
is what's called life.
And that. Who is that? Who is that? Yo, make some noise, MAC. We did it. We did it. We did it. Ring your mom. Ring your priest. Ring your nan. Run downtown with a big placard. Run into the big group of ideologically possessed and shout, hey! 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 MEANINGWAVE exists! It does! It's true! Not metaphorically. Not theoretically. Physically. In 3 of them dimensions, not one of them, not 2 of them, but 3. It exists. Yo. Who made that happen? You. And you. Wow. Yo, come on, you bad motherfuckers, you. What an epic activity in 2020 that was. I promised you, brothers and sisters. I promised you, I said, Wave Riders assemble. It's 2020. Epic activities only. All aboard for them epic activities. Tom Hanks came along with his filthy disease. We kept on moving and we made that album despite Tom Hanks and his filthy disease. And then we said, hey, people want vinyl. They keep asking for vinyl. Let's make that exist. Let's make MEANINGWAVE exist. People said, Akira the Don, you can't be launching no crowdfunding campaigns in the middle of a pandemic. That's just not on. I said, don't believe me, just watch. In the words of Bruno Mars. And Trinidad James. And now, in the words of Marvin Gaye, look what's going on. Look what's going on. MEANINGWAVE is existing. We did it. Yo, I gotta say that test pressing was great. How do you feel about that test pressing? Sibian says, transcendent experience. The Triad says there has to be an amazing quality to see your art manifest itself in the physical world. There really is, particularly when the art form you've been engaged in has been such an ethereal one for pretty much as long as you've been doing it. The traditional music industry collapsed just as I entered it, you know? I've been at the forefronts of the digital arena. You know, I've been inventing the future out here. But like I always say, you know what I mean? For us to bold stridely together into the future, we got to run back and pick up all the stuff that we forgot that was useful. There's a lot of useful stuff we need to take with us, on the spaceship, so to speak. That archaic revival that your boy Terrence talks about, you know? That's why I be so into that musical time travel stuff. Certain stuff we got to, just as the gate, the bridge or whatever is crashing down like in that Indiana Jones movie, and he just runs back through and he grabs his hat and he pulls back through again. I always think about that because that's what we got to do, you know? And that's part of what's going on here. We archaic revivaling the vinyl. You know, this thing has been around for a lot longer than me, and it will be around a lot longer after, you know? It was here before, and it will be here when I'm gone. But the gaps that make up the grooves in this thing, they will go on, baby. And on and on and on and on. What a beautiful thing. Trouble Charger, bless up, says the sound of the album is phenomenal, and the excitement being generated by both Akira and the fans is incredible. Good work, everyone. MEANINGWAVE exists! Yeah, it do! It do! It do! Thanks to you. Look how powerful you are. Look what you done manifested. Look what you done manifested. Oh, come on. Yeah. I got to thank everyone who's been here tonight. This has been very joyful. This has been an entirely joyful activity, situation, all that, you know. And I'm really glad that, you know, we could do it. I'm really glad that you all were here. Thank you to everyone who's been supporting throughout this. Jose Talvera, Cassandra K, Walking Mole Poet, Luke, Melinda K, One Slick Mama, Diminished Seventh, Brendan Braithwaite, Trouble Charger. All of y'all, Prince Jabrika's XV. All of y'all who've been here. You know, I mean, maybe I was crazy, you know? Maybe I just thought, you know, maybe I just thought it sounded good, but no, it didn't. It sounded so good. It sounded so good. I'm so happy with my Polish brothers and sisters at the record plant in Poland. It's being pressed in Poland, you know? That's where my granddad's from. And yeah, I think we can say good job to them, and go forth and press all of them. We've got Wattswave 5 still to come, so we've got to test that. We've got to make sure that's all rocking. But yeah, Milton Dance says vinyl achievement unlocked. Glorious Maz vibes, innit? Back. Yes, yes, yes. Embrace. Because Wattswave exists. It do. Wattswave exists. MEANINGWAVE exists. Archaic re-vinyl. Who said that? Who said that? How come so many smart people are in this chat? You are always very funny, and I do appreciate you. Samuel Morris. Very good, Samuel Morris. Maria Lizak says, this is very touching. Congratulations, Maz. Right? Come on. Oh, my goodness. And, you know, this is just, we've just heard the pressing, and it works, and that's wonderful. But wait till we get the full package with the beautiful artwork and the beautiful design. The design. We got Captain Jack laying out that typography. Oh, wow. That ain't epic activities in 2020. I don't know what is. I don't know what is, Matt Crittenden. Vibes at 33 and a third. That's right, baby. Chris Island said, is Hercules going to grace us with the coffin dance? Can I hear him? Hercules? Hercules? What are you up to? He's playing with Sammy. I'm playing with Sammy. The people of Maz are asking if you're going to do the coffin dance. Anyway, yo, Luke says, press and ship, baby, press and ship. Well, we just got to wait for the Wattswave 5 test pressing to come through. That shouldn't be long. And we'll check that together as well. It's nice checking records together, isn't it? Isn't it a nice thing to do, to check records together? If you're listening to this on the podcast, I hope you enjoyed that warm experience, tickling your ears. What I can't get over with the vinyl is just how the low end just sits together so nicely. Like, that's how I made it to be. And it just sits together so nicely. Oh my goodness. If that ain't nice, I don't know what is. If that ain't nice, I don't know what is, baby. And on that, I'm going to get out of here. I got to go eat a steak and, you know, calm down a bit. This has been very emotional. My heart went boom, boom, boom. What's that song? Heart went boom, boom, boom. Da-na-na-na-na-na, coming home. What is that song? I got to go listen to that. That's exactly how I feel right now. Da-na-na-na-na-na, coming home. My heart went boom, boom, boom. Oh, God, what is that? Anyone in the chat knows what that song is? Let me know. Peter Gabriel. Yeah, what's the song called? It's Peter Gabriel. Luke, you're right. Anyway. Salisbury. Yes, that was it. I'm gonna Salisbury Hill. Doom, doom. Do you know why I thought of that? I just remember now, because that record is so well mixed. When I was mixing this record, doing my part of the mixing before I sent it off for the final mix for my boy James in Australia, I had a mixed references playlist. Put together a playlist of some of the best mixed songs of all time, and Salisbury Hill was the #1 track. That was track #1. I was like, I'm going to stop comparing my tracks to like contemporary rap tracks and things like that. I mean, I still do that as well. You'd be like, on a sonic level, just to be like, is my kick kicking harder than I would like it to, type thing. But I was like, I'm going to start like referencing just like the best records of all time. I'm going to reference Thriller and Peter Gabriel, and I'm going to fight in those leagues, baby. I'm going to engage in those wars, you know? And that's what we did. Caroline H says, Home Depot hype going on here. Flip. Yo, I went to a new Home Depot earlier. I went to one in Bee Cave. Bee Cave is a little town by me. Dripping Springs is I'm dripping, and then Dripping Town is like 20 minutes away. But then you got Bee Springs over yonder, 20 minutes in another direction. They got a Home Depot too, baby. I went to that Home Depot. It was so nice. Dripping Springs Home Depot is the Taj Mahal at Home Depots. But Bee Cave is similarly wonderful. Clean, beautiful, staffed by nice, smart, helpful, polite people, cool old guys, like cool young people. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, oh man, Home Depot. I'm going to start wearing, I wonder if I can get Home Depot sponsorship. You know, I'm going to start wearing Home Depot merch and shit. Can you get a Home Depot merch? I got to look into that. I want a Home Depot. Yo, Commander 8 says, kind of funny, Akira started with lo-fi and now you're pressing some hi-fi. We all start lo-fi. I started lo-fi when I started making beats because I didn't know what I was doing. You know what I mean? And I was working on like cassettes. You know, I was like working on lo-fi equipment. And, you know, and I was still lo-fi, baby. You know what I mean? But at the same time, yeah, at the same time, baby, like, you know, Quincy Jones, you know what I mean? Quincy Jones, Thriller, baby, Thriller. Roman Kubzanski, I went to Home Depot today, dropped tons of cash on fixtures, battled the bots on the internet, but decided to deal with people. Good work. Sometimes it's just quicker to do that, you know? Sometimes it's not. I went to Target, you know, I went to that Target, and they didn't have what I needed. I had to order that stuff off the internet in the Target, you know, on the phone. Bloop, 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 bloop. Yo. Anyway, yo, thank you all for being here, baby. Mikhail says, why don't you sell wave stickers and wave statues like what you got on your desk? Oh, you want to buy a wave statue like what's on the desk? Do you? Oh, that's good. It's good that you want to buy one of these because the gentleman who made this, who's a metal-working god, is making a bunch more so you can buy them. That's right. Good things come to those who dream. So that's right. Yeah, this is a work of art. It's also very substantial and dense and heavy because it's metal, you know, and it's epic. So yeah, these will be on sale soon. Actually, they'll be on sale soon, and I'll let you know as soon as they are. And yeah, we want stickers too. I've yet to find the right sticker manufacturer, but like I will be finding stickers very soon because there's going to be stickers with the Wattswave packages. So there. Anyway, thank you all for being here. Once again, thank you to everyone who's supporting the wave. You are the best. And this wouldn't exist without you. I couldn't be doing this twice a day without you supporting people. So shouts out to the supporting people. And if you want to support the wave, you can. You can join the Patreon. You can join the channel. You can go to meaningwave.com and buy fly merch like the new collection. The Get That Good Feeling collection. It's great. You can get that good feeling of having shorts which say Get That Good Feeling on them. Imagine. Gloriful. What else can you do? You know, you can smash that like. You can call your mum. You can go to Spotify. You can play all the playlists. We've got new playlists dropping every week now. That's a new thing that's happening. A new playlist every Thursday. Oh! New playlists! You know? You go to Bandcamp, download all the music. They're doing that thing this Friday where they don't take 25% of the money. So if you've been waiting to buy that everything download bundle with all of the albums, do it on Friday. Or do it tomorrow. Do it today if it's convenient for you. Whatever's convenient to you. You know, that's what you should do. You should smash that like, you can share that link, you can ring your mum, and you can say, in truthfulness, in all truthfulness and certainty, MEANINGWAVE exists! I saw it on the Meaning stream. I saw it. It was beautiful. It was round. It had a hole through the middle of it. And it was just, you know, and she'll be like, yeah, I know, I was watching it too. It was a really good stream. It was one of the better streams, in fact. It was just so pure and beautiful. The joy on Akira's face, you know, it was a great stream, son. Now, you know, get off the phone. I'm trying to listen to MEANINGWAVE. And you'll be like, okay, mum. Okay, mum. But of course, most importantly, you can join me on Twitch tomorrow at 7 a.m. for the MEANINGWAVE morning show. And you can join me now for the International Bizai 5 Bizai 5 Bizai. There you go. That's how we do. That's how we do. Is done is good. 3, 2, 1. 5, baby! We did it! Go forth and be mighty, safe in the knowledge that you manifested physical meaning wave into the world of men. You did it. And we gonna do it again, baby. We're gonna do it again. I love you guys. Sweet dreams are made of these. Good night.